welcome back to the podcast. We are here with Keaton Alexander Kohl, a man of many talents, and he is in a band called Goby Dogs. He is
I work on some books doing inking and coloring mostly. I don't do pencils for comic books. I'm not super great at sequential art. It takes a really talented person to be extremely consistent with the way characters and stuff look in a book. So I tend to just ink or color and stuff. I work on a lot of stuff that my buddy Mike Wallhead sends me. He's definitely somebody that everybody should check out. His name's spelled Laughhead. He's one of my best friends I went to school with. Yeah, he's an amazing illustrator. I don't know if you can see any of that stuff from there. But yeah, he sends me stuff for works that he gets. Like he's got an agent, so his agent gets him work for comic books, and then he does pencils, and he'll send them to me, and I'll ink them up and color them and stuff. So we just finished that Roblox. We just finished that Roblox comic book, some kind of Roblox friendship thing. I can't remember what the hell it's called. Got some cat and a dog and something in it. Anyways, and now we're currently working on a book. Actually, I can show you a peek at it. This book is called Find the Farter. So it's kind of like one of those Where's the Waldo books, but it's Find the Farter.
And then
Find the Person That Broke Wind. And this is a sequel. So this is like the second book that they've done. So Mike sends me that as an example, and this is an example. And then he sent me like empty ones like this, and then I just fill in the color and add shadows and stuff. That's a decent way to make some side cash. I also worked on an NFT project under Mike because he I can't remember what the hell it was called, some time travel one or something like that, but I was in charge of making different outfits and different like weapons or clothes or sunglasses or whatever, like little add-ons and stuff for the characters that would work in layers that you could just put them on and whatever, randomize them.
nice, bro. Speaking about NFTs, you had mentioned a while back. You know the guy who like invented NFTs or something like that.
I do actually. He denied it for the longest damn time. I think he's like afraid the government's gonna like come get him. Like they're still looking for the guy that invented Bitcoin. Like he's like top of the list to be like beheaded. So he's a fairly paranoid guy. So I imagine like he thinks that if somebody knew that he was responsible for it, that they would, I don't want to smack him around a bit. Maybe I don't know exactly what he's afraid of, but. Yeah, without giving too much detail, we were staying together for a period of time, and he asked me to do a few drawings and stuff, and for this project he was working on, and never did the drawings, by the way, but his idea was to make like Bitcoin or digital currency more interesting by adding art to it. Like if you could somehow marry up art to it in a way that the art couldn't be removed from it. Same way like dollar bills or coins or something like that. It's like part of the cool thing about money is the art in it, and Bitcoin completely removes the art from the money. So he wanted to figure out a way to like code them together, and he worked on this project with a bunch of people. What the hell was it called? Curio cards. So curio cards are technically the first NFTs, and you can go look at the site and see how they worked, and there wasn't anything before curio cards that fit the definition of NFTs. So they are the first NFTs, and he was the guy that did the coding for all of those first ones. I told him for the longest damn time, I was like, you need to take credit for that, you need to take credit for it, and he was like, wouldn't do it, and finally he agreed to take credit for it, but he was like, but he'll do it under, a pseudonym, so it's credited as Moon. If you go to the Curio Cards website, you can see that Moon is on list of things. He's the guy that did the coding, hence he's the guy that invented NFTs, in my opinion. I don't know.
I don't know. That's an interesting story. That's cool to say you know the guy who invented. So tell us, like, you know, the obvious, the quick bio. Where were you born and raised, bro?
Oh, I'm an Iowa boy. So I was born in Rivertown, Muscatine, Iowa, and it's this
Okay.
river town.
That's cool.
Let's see if I can.
What's the scenery like there?
Flat. If there's a hill in Iowa, we knock it down and we plant corn on it. That's what we do in Iowa. Like we've got all these great old buildings downtown.
That's cool.
I mean, there's been a bunch of them torn down, including a like amazing freaking theater called the Riviera. Got turned into a parking lot, but there's still a handful of these really awesome old school, like, you know, downtown
It's almost
buildings.
like a cowboy scene, like
Yeah.
in like a western movie or something.
Yeah, but it was a very very quiet town. It's full of factories like Monsanto, Bandag, Han All Steel, Heinz Ketchup, Starkist Tuna was there for a while. So it's kind of like you either work at a factory or you own a factory. So, you know, there's like a handful of like pretty rich people there, and then everyone else in the town is blue collar, working class, bordering on hillbilly kind of mentality.
So, average Joe.
Yeah, and I really, really hated it growing up, you know, like it just felt like a really dumb fucking place to grow up, and, you know, like, young people are fucking liberal and not conservative, and, you know, it seemed like a very conservative place, you know, so, you know, I just hated it, and then, you know, I went to art school and college, and they taught me to hate that culture even more, and then you get older and you get a little more conservative, and you look back and you're like, you know, that place was a lot better than a lot of places I've been, you know? Like, it's a...
It's like you don't know what you had till it's gone.
Exactly. Like, there is nothing there but people. But there's good people there, you know? And, like, whereas you come other places, you know, like, I mean, not to knock people in these places, but when I lived in Kansas City and when I lived in Tucson, it was really hard to find good people. Like, a lot harder than it was to find them in Iowa. Iowa people are just kind of generally, like, willing to... I guess maybe it's because since we're blue collar, we're used to working all day damn long, you know, and the heat and working hard and shit like that, that when, you know, your friend needs his car worked on, or, you know, needs help installing an air conditioner, putting up some drywall, it doesn't sound like a big fucking deal to go help him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're just, like, willing to help people, or doing lots of work for free because we're already just working naturally. So, you know, what's like a couple more hours of laying up some drywall and then having some beers and a pizza with your butt, you know? But
Sure.
good people, I miss it. I definitely plan on going back there. This is one of the things I'm, like, really heavily thinking about doing. Like, I think this is my new plan in life. But I want to build a shanty boat. You know what a shanty boat is?
Yeah.
So I want to build a shanty boat and then make it into a portable recording studio, akin to like the guys who drive around with the recording studio in a van and record, you know, people's stories and people's lives in different bands. But I want to record like river town bands and orators that can't afford production. And I've got 2 accounts on my Lander distribution right now, which the first one I'm using for my band, and the second one I can do whatever I want with. So I'm just gonna set up for river bands and just record, you know, river life and river bands. But I want to take this shanty boat, travel down the Mississippi, stop in a town for 2 weeks, record a band and an orator, you know, like a pastor, a preacher, somebody who's got, you know, something timely or interesting or culturally relevant to say about that place and time, and then do like a live performance from the boat of the band on Friday or Saturday, then a live performance from the orator or the pastor on Sunday. Sunday seems appropriate for that. And then after that, move on to the next town and do it all over again. And then when I get to the the little Y, the little break into the Mississippi and the Tennessee. Then I'll take the Tennessee north and get some good Appalachian bluegrassy music, and then when I'm done doing that, I can turn around and go back down the Mississippi and hit New Orleans, get some Creole music and that. So it seems like it'd be a really, really good way for me to take in like a lot of culture and help expose a lot of people that might not have the funds to pay for recording.
So. True. Do you have like a name for the project that you're going to be doing?
That's a damn good question, because that's heavily on my mind. I've been trying to think, what do I fucking call this thing? Because my band is called Goby Dogs, and I thought about saying like River Dogs or something, like similar to what's, with my band, but it doesn't necessarily have to promote my band, and I've seen a whole lot of things called like River Dog or something related with rivers, so I've got to find something that hasn't been copywritten. But I'm definitely open for ideas if anybody's got any good ideas for that project. And I'm going to have to do probably like a GoFundMe or nonprofit thing to try to earn money for this. But it seems like a good idea that I think I could get people to get behind that would want to donate to it. And I've also considered doing it like collecting instruments. Like it would have to be on a tow behind for me to have room for it. But I thought about putting a tow behind there, and then as I go through town, collecting any musical instruments that people don't need anymore, like if they got an extra bass or an extra drum set or something that they're not using, and then putting that on the boat. And then when I move to the next town, when I find bands in need, like maybe they need a kick drum or they need a bass, then I can donate them that kick or bass, So there's a couple of different ways this could branch out and be something that would be very fulfilling to do with the rest of my life. But I've got to work out a lot of the details, and I think it's something I also have to present to the public, because there's going to be people who right off the bat will think of something I didn't think of that's a great idea of how to go about it, or how to get materials to build my boat, or who knows what. The more brains you get involved in something, the more stuff you find out, So definitely something I want to put out there for the public to give me feedback on, and what they think would be good ideas,
Oh yeah. Hey, well, man, you heard the guy. If you have any ideas, go hit up his page. We'll drop a link to his page for Goby Dogs. So you guys could send him an email or message him, all that good stuff. Were you inspired to be an artist?
Strangely enough, I specifically remember like the moment, quote unquote, But I was in grade school. I think third grade. Sounds about right. And my great aunt babysat me at the time, so I'd walk to her house after school. So I remember this particular day. There was a napkin sitting on the table, and there was an ink pen sitting next to the napkin. I started dragging the ink pen across the napkin in kind of a back and forth kind of motion like this, and I thought to myself, it kind of looks like the shape of a bird, or the inside of a bird, or that direction the feathers go. So I just kept making that motion, that line, and I kind of went the other direction and made some top feathers, and then I kind of swirled around here, and it kind of made a little head and a beak, and went this way, and I made a nest, and I was like, I just made something, like out of nothing. That was the first legit drawing that I ever made, just out of the fucking blue, where I was like, I can make something out of nothing. Like I wasn't looking
How old were you?
At something. It was like third grade, so I mean, I imagine, kids draw tons of pictures prior to third grade, but that was the one where I realized that I was actually creating something out of nothing, and that art was like a thing, it was something where I was, it was part of creation or something. And then I was hooked. I was like, well, if I can do this, what else can I like represent on paper? And then it became about, how can I take ideas or thoughts that I have and then express them on paper? And then it became about, how can I translate these things into metaphors and symbols that anybody or everybody would get at their core, or at least people that had had a similar cultural background to me might just understand instinctually by looking at them, you know. The whole picture's worth 1,000 words thing. I was like, could I write an essay in one of these things? And could somebody read an essay in one of these things, you know?
Yeah.
So I've done a lot of pieces where I feel like I put a lot of, I don't want to say messaging, that sounds negative, but, you know, I put a lot of like, there's ideas here, and put them out there, and then just see by the response that I get from people if anybody, you know, picks it up, if anybody realizes what I'm trying to say, you know. But in my experience as an artist, it's that people interpret things the way they want to interpret them, and a lot of people love to interpret things so that they're offended, so then that they're the victim, so then they're the hero and I'm the bad guy, and now I owe them something and I've offended them somehow or abused them by putting out art into the world. So it's pretty freaking hilarious how opposite it really is.
Yeah.
And you put shit out there. So, but I mean, that seems like really the only point of being an artist, honestly, because trying to make money as an artist is a foolish endeavor. And all of the people that got really, really famous and really, really rich, you know, making art, you know, those guys that you look in galleries and you're like, oh, he taped a banana to a fucking canvas. I could have taped a banana to a canvas. And how much did he get paid for this thing? Like, this isn't right. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because it's not real. That's not what's going on there. That's money laundering. The CIA started it a long ass time ago, but all major art deals are money laundering. They're just a way to move money from place to place.
I heard
people
something
through bribes.
like
Yeah,
that.
because you can't bribe people legally, you know, and you can't provide a service for people that's not equivalent to its price. For example, like you look at the Clintons or something, and they go make a speech somewhere.
So it's a bunch of rich friends that get this thing together and use it as a way to help each other move their money.
Yeah, it's like, you know, if you do me a favor and I gotta send you a bribe, you know, and some money's gotta move from here to there, you know, they try doing things like, oh, I'll give a speech at your college and then your college will pay me X millions of dollars for my speech. And it's like, it doesn't match. The amount that they're getting paid for the appearance doesn't match, and it comes off clearly as a bribe. Well, here's the thing about art. How the hell do you tell what art's worth? Art's worth whatever the fuck we say it's worth. Yeah. So, whatever the bribe is, whatever the money is that you and I need to move, that's how much it's worth. That's how much that piece of artwork's worth. That's how you determine the worth of
It's
I mean, look
crazy,
up
how shit's just right in front of people's faces, like, you know, biker gangs and shit, like how they operate right in front of law enforcement's faces, and like all this shit's going on, but it's like you said, like they're behind it too, basically. It's crazy.
Well, you know, for every person that's ever looked at Jackson, do you know who Jackson Pollock is?
No.
Okay, so for every person who's ever looked at a piece of Jackson Pollock art, like every real person, not some bullshit art student jackass trying to like impress his friends, you know, by like pretending he knows what it's really about, you know, which is what I put up with going to art school a lot. Is everybody would pretend to know what they were really talking about, but they didn't know what they were talking about. And it was proved later because it turned out it was all bullshit. So the people that thought or said that they got it, they knew what was going on, were full of shit. So yeah, this guy's stuff. This is Jackson Pollock. Looks like a puffy bicycle from the 90s, doesn't it? It was black with like neon splattered on it. Yeah, there we go. Look at that.
Yeah.
Jackson Pollock, man. Jackson Pollock. Woo! Anybody could do that. They even made a movie about this guy. Anyway, it came out years later. The FBI was the one funding Jackson Pollock and basically creating him. They said in an effort to confuse the Russians.
That's bullshit.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing is that they always tell you one thing, but they're doing another. So they say it was to confuse the Russians, but it was really because they use it to launder money. And then when people like found out, hey, why is the FBI supporting this Pollock guy and supporting him and stuff like that? Well, it's not money laundering. We wanted to confuse the Russians. Oh, okay. Okay.
That's a trip, man.
We just wanted to confuse the Russians. I'm not shitting you. That's the official story if you look it up.
Man. So besides being an artist, you got an insight on a lot of other stuff. How do you come across a lot of the information that you...
You know, actually, I have... there are two people. I got a friend back from college and my brother who still does not own a cell phone. Like, you have to call him on a landline and leave a message and then wait several hours, maybe days, and then he might call you back, and that's the only way he converses. But you know, growing up, my brother used to tell me all this stuff. It was just batshit crazy stuff, in my opinion, you know. And I thought, you know, it's a pity that he believes this stuff, you know, because this is some batshit crazy stuff. And now everything he ever fucking told me, like, turned out to be true. Like, half the stuff has been revealed, you know. Conspiracy theorists are like, oh, it turns out this was true, you know. But yeah, I'm seeing all these videos now of people uncovering. Turns out this is true. Turns out this is true. And it's all shit that my brother told me back in like 1990. Like, going that far back, and I don't know how. Yeah, I honestly don't know how people like my brother's brains work, because I don't know how he figured out all this shit in the 90s, and I don't know how he figured it out so solidly that he was gonna stick to it despite being called a fucking lunatic for literally decades, and like only now in his 40s is he being like vindicated as like, oh, it turns out you were all right about like fucking everything. But you know, all the people that told him crazy aren't gonna like call him up and be like, hey man, really sorry about calling you batshit crazy and all, turns out you were fucking right. No, they're just like, oh, whoops, I guess I was wrong, but they won't fucking tell him. I try to be like, yeah bro, I'm sorry for calling you crazy. Turns out I was the crazy one, because I was crazy for believing this retarded bunk, you know?
Again, that is some interesting stuff, man. How the CIA, or, you know, just our own government moves, and like the mafia, and just people in general who are just trying to better their lives, you know, like, like in a way, like that's the simple point of it, is just people trying to get ahead in life and shit. But,
yeah, if you get into conspiracy theories, it's going to eat up your entire podcast, because we could seriously talk about conspiracy theories for hours. It'd be most beneficial to me personally if I told you what I had going on right now and how people could get involved with it or be part of it or see it or whatever. So I gave myself a deadline a few months back of August 27th, because that's when Tucson Comic Con gets rolling. August 27th, of having, first off, everything, all my art and things ready to be sold at Comic Con. I have a table there. It's table, so it's an artist alley, so it's AA0037, I believe. And under Art of Keaton Kohl on the flyers and whatnot on the maps. But have all my artwork ready for the Comic-Con, and also try to release an album and an animated music video by the end of that weekend. So I'm a procrastinator, and if I don't set deadlines for myself, I realize this working in newspapers. I was like the head of graphic design for like 3-4 different newspapers, and I think it's something that every artist at some point should do, is force themselves to do art that they don't want to do for somebody that they don't like on a deadline, because you'll produce some crazy, good, weird shit that you wouldn't expect because pressure, you know. But I set myself a deadline of the 27th, the weekend of the 27th, and then I've just been working on this stuff, and like every artist, I got a few things done here and there when I felt like it, and then I procrastinated until like the last minute, and now I'm down to 3 days before the Comic-Con to finish up the art and objects and stuff like that. This is the thing that is probably going to be the major seller for me, is I'm going to transfer this image onto pizza boxes and then paint them, hand paint a whole bunch of them. So there'll be original hand paintings on the pizza boxes, the turtles, and I left room on the design for Kevin Eastman to sign the center and for the turtle actors to sign on the corner. So then, you know,
you can
it's
use it as art and stuff.
yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good thing for you to pick up to get their autographs on, because they're all going to be at the Tucson Comic-Con, and then you know, you don't have to have like 5 different things autographed or something small that you're going to lose, or have to scramble around and look for something to get autographed. You know, this is
And
like
you can
one
keep
easy
other
thing.
memorabilia inside the box.
Yeah, yeah. Any artwork or anything you pick up that's smaller than 10 by 10, you know, you can carry it around in there and it won't get damaged. So, yeah, I figured that's a pretty good item to put out there for people to pick up. So that's going to be the main thing that I'm selling there, is painted pizza boxes. So
What else do you have going on at the Comic-Con?
there's some prints. So these are all art prints of mine that I'm gonna have selling there. Some of these are originals, some of them are prints, but yeah, artwork. And I built this mini skate shop that I'm selling little fingerboards and stuff in that I made, but it is at it's at the Tucson Mall right now at Presidio Comics being displayed. So, but I will have it for Comic-Con as well.
And those are all originals or prints?
Some of them are prints. This one's an original right here.
Right.
I can tell because as soon as I touched it, it's bumpy. So it's watercolor paper, and the prints are on smoother paper. But I, at one time, I had a Z-Clay quality printer, and I honestly couldn't tell the difference between my prints and my originals unless I felt them to see if I could feel the rise of the watercolor on them. But those are mostly watercolors. That's what I do a lot of.
Very nice.
The progress on the music video and the album and things like that, and various things can be found on TikTok under the account GoBeDogs. But then if you're on Instagram, everything's under Keaton Kohl, spelled like Buster Keaton, Keaton, spelled like department store, Kohl, Keaton Kohl. Nice and simple. Yeah, I got right now the band just consists of me and one other guy. I've been doing the writing, the lyrics, lay down the guitar chords, the rhythm. I lay down rhythm section. Sometimes a little piece of a lead if I got a little catchy phrase that I like and I want to put in there. I lay down vocals, and then I send those over to my friend John Macaulay, and he adds lead guitar, sometimes keys, bass guitar. Sometimes I do the bass, I send it over, and then he adds a bass to it anyways, and it sounds better than the bass I added, so, you know. But right now, the band's pretty much just him and I doing everything together, and I really, really like the stuff that he's been sending me back lately. Like, the leads he comes up with are just amazing and fire. I never really like my own stuff, both in art and music. You know, it's like I strive for something and I never quite get where I want to be with it. I'm never quite happy with it, you know? And so that's where a collaboration is nice, because I am able to appreciate other people's stuff. And so I'll put out something that, in my opinion, is like, that's all right. You know, like, I listen to it, you know. I wouldn't give you any awards or nothing, but I listen to it. And then John sends it back to me with stuff on top of it. It's just like putting like the right spices on,
on a steak or something.
Yeah, like
it
I
just
could
elevates
be like,
it. Like
right.
that was an okay steak, but now you give it to this guy, he jazzes it up, and it's like amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I'm finding some decent cuts of meat, and I send these decent cuts of meat to this guy, and when they come back, it's like, holy shit, there's a lot of flavor on that, you know?
Hell yeah.
So I'll play you some examples.
That's cool
later.
to know somebody like that.
That's
like
yeah.
Like a partnership with a musician like that.
It's a hard thing to find. The weird thing is the music scene in the small town that I grew up in. It was a weird town too. That little town of Muscatine. A lot of weird stuff ties back to there. That you could do a whole podcast on Muscatine, man. But when I was in high school, everybody was either on drugs or in a band, and that was like how you spent your free time. And a lot of people were doing both. But everybody I freaking went to school with was like had a band and was playing music, and it was good music too. It wasn't just like everybody's just putting out crap, like they were putting out like legit good stuff, and some of them had like 2-3 bands going on. Like the number of bands in my tiny small town in the 4 years that I was in high school, in just that little window, was crazy. It was like totally crazy. I've got some of the stuff collected, some of the people from back in the day, some of that stuff collected, but recently reconnected with one of my friends from back in the day, William Mooney.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was funny because there's like 3 brothers in that family, 2 of them twins, and they all were in bands. They all played music. They all like played like multiple instruments, like really, really talented people, and Strauss's too. Brooke Strauss, I used to jam with him sometimes. Like that dude's got, I don't know, like 15, 20 freaking albums out now on Spotify, and his brother Landon Strauss puts out some really nice electric music. Like he wrote himself a whole freaking rock opera. Like
that's crazy.
There must be something in the freaking water back there or something, because there's some talented ass musicians there.
They're just able to come up with these creations, masterpieces.
Yeah, and like one of my favorites that was kind of an oddity, and probably not most people's favorites, was this band called Disgruntled Noise Box. I thought, that's the coolest fucking name for a band, Disgruntled Noise Box. And my cousin Travis Munson was in the band. It was just basically him and Dan Orr, who was my ex-wife's cousin. This is small town stuff. Everybody's cousin, I swear, dude. You could do, you do the 7 degrees to Kevin Bacon. You could do like 3 degrees to anybody in Muscatine. Everybody's related. My mom's cousin married my dad's cousin. No joke. That's literally how it happened. But Travis and Dan had this band called Disgruntled Noise Box. Yeah. And they were like the closest thing I could describe them to would be like Ween. And like you either love Ween or you hate Ween. So, they had a lot of people weren't really into, what they were doing, but there was a lot of real like creativity and stuff and originality in what they were doing. It just didn't sound like anything else, And there was this band Gimpy and a band called Kohl and Hate Daisies.
It's a lot more bands doing their thing.
Dude, shit ton of bands when I was in high school that all came out of there. All like influenced me too. I was sitting there listening to one of the songs I was composing the other day, and I managed to get a hold of this guy that was like my idol in high school. He was in a band called Gimpy, and they put out one CD, and I had it, lost it, moving here, there, everywhere, and through a series of fortunate events, I managed to get my hands on a copy of it recently, and I was listening to it, and a song here or there, I was just like, oh, shit, I think that's where I got that strum pattern at. Or, oh, shit, I think that's where I got that chord progression at, Like, it's like, I guess these guys influenced me way, way more than I thought they did,
Yeah, I hate to say it too, man, but I noticed the same thing in some of my creative aspects. We're original, but like people and interesting, cool stuff rubs off on us, like the things that like we're interested in or find cool, it does rub off on us, and it kind of like leaves a imprint on our character, you know, for almost the rest of our lives.
Somebody famous, I can't remember who, said that real genius is knowing how to hide your sources. But almost everybody that I've like looked up to and I've seen, you know, like, oh, this person did something that I thought was neat. I start studying them, and then I study their influences because I want to know how they became who they were, you know. And actually, I should mention, I started doing that. I started looking at sources when I was in middle school, because there were a lot of comic books had like a heyday in the 90s, they just kind of exploded, and it happened right around the time they released those Marvel trading cards. But people started reading comic books again, and they got a lot of really flashy artists that some of them weren't even technically, as technical artists goes, they were horrible, but they were very, very flashy, so it attracted like a new audience to comics. But what I noticed about a lot of those artists is that they would put line shading in places not because there would be a shadow in that spot, but because it was empty, and it bothered them that it was empty, and they just thought, oh, you put lines there. And so they do things without understanding why they were doing them. And I also realized that a lot of them learned to draw comic books from comic books. Whereas the masters of the form learned to draw comic books by observing life. So when you're learning to draw a comic book by observing the guy drawing the comic book instead of observing life, you're like a Xerox of a Xerox. And this had gone on for like a couple of generations. So the guys in the 90s were doing, actually later 90s, because there were a few in the 90s that kind of knew what they were doing, but then the later 90s, like when you're getting closer to 2000, they started hiring artists who were like Xeroxes of Xeroxes of Xeroxes of Xeroxes, and it was just horrendous fucking garbage. Like, I can't even think of the guy's name off the top of my head, but I think one of the worst, the absolute worst fucking offenders was this guy that they given the Moon Knight title to. He was drawing Moon Knight, and he was like a Todd McFarlane wannabe. And Todd McFarlane, in my opinion, is a horrible technical artist. Very, very flashy. I used to collect all of his stuff. Actually, it's a funny story. I used to collect everything Todd McFarlane did because I fell into that whole, like, everything's flashy and I love it and it's cool, you know? And then it was like right around that time I was getting into it, I was starting to learn more about art and studying art more, and this was in middle school. And I started noticing some of the flaws in McFarlane's work, and, you know, like anatomy being like way off, like anatomy being so far off that a middle schooler noticed it. And one day I was reading, it was in the back pages of Spawn, somebody had written a critique to him in the letters page, and it was a great critique, you know, pointed out his problems with anatomy, his problems with line weight, his problems with composition. Like, it was a really great critique, you know, and he could have learned a lot from it. But his response was basically like, well, who has $1 million comic and who doesn't? And I was like, oh man, fuck this guy. Fuck this jackass that can't take a critique, like a legit critique, you know? And I'm not shitting you. That weekend, I went to the comic book store in town with everything that I had by Todd McFarlane, like everything. And I said, I want to trade this in for store credit so I can buy something that's worth a shit.
Damn.
And now, like, a whole bunch of those comic books that I turned in technically are worth money, you know?
Hey, Todd McFarlane, you got some old beef right here to handle. come do a response video or something. It's fine. We'll edit that out.
No, you know, it would be extremely funny to see Todd McFarlane debate anybody, because if you've ever seen him speak in person, you would not not be impressed by his speaking abilities. I'm just gonna leave it there.
Yeah.
Google Todd McFarlane speaking, and I don't have to say nothing. You'll be like, oh yeah, no. If I sounded like that, I definitely would not try to debate anyone.
Yeah, man. So I see you brought on another topic though. I see you got the herb going on, man. So for a creative guy, what is one of your favorite old school strains? I mean, obviously you're probably not smoking one of your old school favorites right now, but what's one of your old school favorites and one of your current favorites?
So, I really like Juicy Fruit. That was a great one. Skywalker was a really great one. My all-time favorite one, and I think it was the highest THC one I ever came across, was King Louis.
Oh, that's a good one.
King Louis is great.
That's a good one.
Always been a fan of GDP. I would describe GDP as a strain that makes you feel comfortable no matter where you are. You know,
That's
it's
a
like,
good one, yeah.
I don't care if there's broken springs in his mattress. I don't care if this wall has fucking spikes on it or something like that. I'm gonna lean against it and be comfortable. It's GDP. Blue Dream is the most dependable strain I think I've ever smoked. Like, Blue Dream is always Blue Dream. You know, like sometimes you're like, oh, this is a bad version of that or a good version of that. Blue Dream is always Blue Dream, and it's always good. It's the most dependable strain ever. But for a while, I was really fond of those bright green strains like the Incredible Hulk, the Green Grinch, and Green Crack, because they were extremely effective sativas.
Okay.
They were like drinking coffee. They were the exact opposite of what you would think weed should be. But you could smoke it and clean the fucking house. So it was a great strain.
So you're a man of many strains. I was like,
Man of
let
many
me get one of
strains.
your favorite strains. You got the whole list, bro.
Yeah.
But hey, you gotta have variety being a stoner. So
Yeah.
that's, you know.
Jack Herrera's
On
always
point.
good too. What is it I got
Jack
today?
Herrera is a very good strain. That's an old school favorite.
Today I got what's the name at? Motor Breath.
Hey, we got that Motor Breath by Dr. Green Thumb, bro. Shout out
And-
AZ Chiefers with the Dr. Green Thumb collab, bro. We got
And
that
Master
going on.
Kush. Master Kush is the other one I got.
Hell yeah, bro. They had a little activation with these at the last event I went to. Shout out to them, man.
These are a really great price right now if you go to Ponderosa
Okay.
dispensary. There's one on like first over here near where I'm at, in my shady neighborhood over here. But yeah, they have great prices there. But they're just so convenient because they're within walking distance of me. So like, since they've been built, I don't think I've gone to another dispensary.
Hell yeah.
But I mean, more than being convenient, like, they treat me really nice over there. They're like, they remember my name and, you know,
I honestly never gone there,
say
bro.
nice
I
to
gotta
see
check it out.
oh, we should go there after this. Just take a little trip. Take a little trip.
Yeah, we'll
with
take a
me.
little trip to Ponderosa, man. Shout out to Ponderosa. Shout out to Nirvana.
Yeah.
And
They
shout
gave me
out
this.
To, I was just about to say, I don't know if that's not Space Cowboy, but shout out to Trip.
Yeah.
Shout out to Space Cowboy Cannabis Company.
Yeah, the Ponderosa gave me this for free.
Oh, yeah. That's fire, man. Maybe I'll swing by whenever I get that little package tomorrow. Space Cowboys coming to drop me off a little sample box to feature on the
Nice.
podcast. Maybe we'll smoke a little bit with Keaton right here. And then I got my other buddy.
I
I'm gonna
appreciate
have
it. I just loaded the last
try
one I
out
got
some
here in my
dabs
pipe.
later. Hey, well,
Perfect.
we will be back, man. Shout out to early 3 a.m. Shout out to all the new artists I've been meeting, man. Lucky Roll on Oracle. Go tap in with them. Tap in with my boy Keaton right here. We'll drop his links again. Really cool guy, man. Great music, great art. He's gonna be at the Comic-Con
You can tell
and
people
there's
how I
gonna
even
be
know
a
you.
cool lineup of people there at the Comic-Con. So I actually met Keaton back in high school. I was attending Compass High School, and
And
he
I
was
flunked out a
actually one of my teachers. He was a special effects teacher. I honestly have a very hazy memory of high school because I was doing a bunch of different things, mushrooms, ecstasy, coming to school fucking high every day, but the days I did, and I remember Keaton was one of the coolest teachers I had, man. He was a very understanding dude. He had cool programs going on for the youth, you know what I mean? Art, all that good stuff. The wood shop that they had there was really cool. Oh yes, the special effects. They were doing like gore makeup. You were doing gore makeup
Yeah.
and stuff.
Well, you know, one of the cool things about that school is they let me write my own curriculum. So, like, what do you want to teach? I was like, can I teach a class on special effects makeup? And they're like, sure. I'm like, can I teach a class on sequential art and comic book making and graphic novels? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, can I? Okay. I'm just like, holy crap, man! I can teach whatever I wanted to teach, you know. And
Did they have you on a salary, or how did you get your job in there? Like, I'm not trying to get all personal.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what do you make? But I'm just curious.
yeah, no, the way they did things there was salary, and you know, I'm always a little wary of salary because what salary means is we're gonna ask more of you than what we could pay in hours. Like, you're gonna go home and go to bed, and we're gonna call you and be like, "Hi, we need you to do a thing," and you're gonna do it because you're on salary, you know.
Yeah.
Your hours aren't determined. I knew that was going to be the case because that is the case, but I also knew that I really, 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 really liked teaching a lot. Loved teaching, actually. So I knew that any of the extra stuff that they were going to ask me to do, I was probably going to do anyways. So, you know, like you know, when they had like the extracurricular stuff, the after school stuff, the fairs, and then they were doing, you know, weekly meetings that would last like 2 hours, maybe longer.
So when you love your job, it just doesn't matter. You were just enjoying.
Yeah, it doesn't matter in that way. But it's also like, you know, like it's like anything else with teaching. Like, there's some really horrible crap with teaching, you know. So it's like a love-hate relationship, you know, and you get some really, really tough problems that you have to deal with, you know, and you get some really, really tough people you have to deal with, and you can't just write them off. I mean, you could, teachers do, you know, I'll just pass that one along, but I wasn't the type, you know, and like if I came across an issue with a thing or a person or something, I felt like I needed to do my best to attribute what forces I could to try to fix it, you know, before or while it was still in my arena. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, it was nice to be able to teach art the way that I wanted to teach it, you know, with all the disillusion removed, because, you know, I had my art education, and then I translated that, you know, to me, you know, like, well, here's what was worth taking out of that, here's what was disillusion, and here's what was illusion, and break it down, and then serve that to somebody, because it's way more palatable than what I got served in college and in high school and in grade school, you know, and way more honest than what I got served, you know, like the Jackson Pollock thing. Like, we didn't need to waste any time in school learning about Jackson Pollock when it turns out in the long run he's a fucking fraud, you know, and so now I can just mention that as a side note in an art class as to how, you know, the government can be involved with art, but I don't have to do a whole fucking chapter on how Jackson Pollock is somehow a genius and we just don't understand him, you know, because that's just a waste of everybody's time, you know. My objective in teaching art wasn't, you know, like an art appreciation or art history class. Mine was, I wanted you to be able to make art. I wanted you to be able to make art that you would like and appreciate, you know.
Hell yeah, bro. Hey man, shout out to Keaton. Props to Keaton for being a great teacher, great guy, man. If you guys remember Keaton, if you ever went to Compass High School, or if you've ever been to any of the other classes that Keaton's taught, drop a comment, man. Go shout out to Keaton, man, for being a good guy. Thank
Yeah, I
you,
should
Keaton,
do it.
for your time. What's up?
Hold on, I should do that. You know, I shout out to the schools that I have worked at. So, like, do you remember what our mascot was at Compass?
Don't remind me.
Don't remind me.
It was a fucking compass. Or no?
No, there was.
No,
That's
it
that's
was
a symbol, but that's not the mascot. Like the mascot, think animal, think reptile.
It wasn't a snake. Was it a
Ah,
snake?
you don't even know your own your own high school's
I
mascot.
forgot.
Shame on you.
I forgot, dude.
High school was hazy then.
Yeah.
You want me to tell you?
Yeah.
It was an alligator.
Okay, I remember now that you said that.
Yeah,
I
remember the
that.
fucking alligator with the T-shirt on
Yeah.
and shit. So yeah, I shout out to the freaking Compass Alligators, and then the other school that I worked at for the longest, just as long, was Copper Point, and they were the Cougars, so Copper Point Cougars.
Okay.
That school sadly does not exist anymore.
Oh, wow.
But man, when it did though, the teachers working there, they were some solid ass people. They were really doing good work for the kids.
Yeah, shout out to all the teachers there. Shout out to the Compass Alligators. High school was pretty hazy, man. Sad to say, like, I remember some key points and good memories, but a lot of it was like, it's very like, I have to like sit there and really resonate to fucking remember shit like that. But shout out to all the good people, man. Thank you, Keaton, again for being on the podcast. I appreciate your time, bro. We'll see you at the Comic-Con. Be sure to go check out his booth, man. Till next time, man. Peace out, guys.